You know, I've never had a catch-up shower. I don't know what it would feel like. I do know that it felt pretty good for Brendan Ryan yesterday.
Well, yeah, he's hitting over 200 now. Celebrate.
He literally crossed the Mendoza line, named, of course, for a former Mariner, Mario Mendoza, who actually played all year and barely hit 200. Ryan got over it. It does not speak at all to the player he's been for the last month and a half, where he's hit about 275, along with playing by far the best defense in the league at shortstop. And that's why I don't care if his average slides back under 200 before this year is over. Just seeing the last 35 days, knowing that the guy's capable of hitting 240, 250, figuring he can work through it, seeing him play defense, Rockstar, I'm telling you, sign this guy to a 2-year deal, take out his arbitration right now, move forward with Brendan Ryan as your shortstop.
I can't argue with that at all. In fact, I'm a little biased because I interacted with him in St. Louis, and he's a great guy, but I think without question he's the best defensive shortstop in the game. And we talked about the sabermetric stat out there that says he saved 25 runs, and that's double the amount of the next closest competitor behind him. Double
with
the
his
amount
defense,
of anybody
yeah.
in baseball. So defensively, he's been there all year. The bat has been a struggle for him all year. And as you mentioned, the past month, he's hit 275, so now his total average up above 200. You don't need him to be a power hitter. You don't need him to hit 300. You'd love it if he did. But he gives you so much everywhere else, and he's become that kind of de facto leader on this team that's devoid of veterans. I mean, there just really isn't that proven veteran on this team, and I think he's a guy that the young guys gravitate towards because of his personality.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great guy to have in that clubhouse. He can. You got two young guys on either side of him. We've talked about this, who are playing out of their natural positions. Dustin Ackley, naturally an outfielder, playing second base, and you've got Kyle Seager at third, who's naturally a second baseman. He's that stabilizing force for that defense and specifically that infield. So I think there's so many positives that come with him. He's not going to cost you a fortune to re-sign him. And you don't have anybody coming up from the AAA or AA level that's ready to go, and he's blocking somebody that's ready to be there. Nick Franklin is hitting 248 right now in AAA. There are questions about whether he's going to be a shortstop. Some say he's better suited to play second base. And then Brad Miller, who's lower in the system, is not ready. So unless you sign a free agent shortstop, he's not blocking anybody. He can be your bridge or potentially your shortstop of the future.
Hey, a two-year deal, he's 31 or 32 when it's over. You buy out his arbitration. I thought last night part of the story was they did have a big beer shower for him. They did have a big catch-up shower for him. Actually, Eric Wedge's door was closed, and you heard the celebration going on in there. It sounded like one of the more fun times they've had all year. I mean, that speaks to the fact that there's a different sort of feeling around that clubhouse. This is not to nail anyone who's not there anymore, especially Ichiro, even though he's who I'm talking about here. As the dominant personality in the clubhouse, it's one thing to have a bit of a standoffish veteran who travels by himself, who does everything by himself, versus a quote-unquote man of the people type of guy like Ryan. I don't think it's any coincidence the Mariners are 7-2 since the trade. I think it's taken a lot of pressure off the team. I think with Ryan as one in a leadership role, there's a more fun attitude about them that plays well and plays better maybe with the younger guys right now. And I kind of think with him sort of setting the tone to a degree, it's hard. I know you probably find it hard to believe when you think about what he was like in St. Louis, where he was simply a flake. I mean, now he's just flaky.
Still kind of is.
Oh, he's flaky, and unfortunately we found out on the show today when he didn't join us, but Kyle Seager did. Check out the podcast. Yeah, it was really good. But I just get the feeling that he is creating a new sense, a new feel, a new vibe around that clubhouse that seems very positive.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything but benefit to bringing him back, at least for another year, if not signing him to a 2-year deal, because, again, you don't have anything waiting behind him, anybody waiting behind him that's ready to play that position. And certainly not anybody that's going to play it better than he does, and it's not Kawasaki, it's not Franklin, and it's not Miller down in AAA. And unless you go after a free agent shortstop where you're willing to open up that pocketbook and look for power at a position you traditionally don't look for power out of, there's nobody there that's going to replace him. So why not move forward with him? It's not going to cost you a ton in terms of baseball dollars. It makes sense. Re-sign him.
Great impressions, too.